My name is Jake, welcome to the channel. In today's video, I want to talk about why dividend investing is both loved and hated. I've been investing for about 15 years. And over those 15 years, I've tried many different things. I've tried different approaches. Some have stuck with me, some have not. I've noticed it's kind of changed as the priorities in my life have changed and shifted. And one of the cool things about having a YouTube channel around personal finance and investing is I get to interact with so many different people and hear so many different opinions. One of the things that I've noticed over the last couple of years is that when somebody has an opinion, they have full conviction in that opinion. And what I've noticed is people are either for dividend investing, they love it, or they absolutely hate it. And that's always kind of confused me to understand, okay, well, why can some people love something so much and why can some people hate it so much? Now, I have a few theories. It can come down to, the way that or the source that they're getting their information. You know what it kind of makes me feel like? It feels like, with the media, depending on where you're getting your information, your opinions towards a certain topic can be completely different than maybe somebody else where they're getting their information from a different outlet. And so what I want to talk about in this video are 5 reasons why dividend investing is maybe, more hated than liked. And there's some pretty good reasons why people could, hate dividend investing. Towards the end of the video, I want to talk about 5 things that I absolutely love about dividend investing. I personally love dividend investing, and I think there's a lot of new investors out there that are starting to invest in a dividend strategy, and a lot of them maybe not necessarily are doing their own research, and they're just kind of jumping in and they're investing into whatever. They don't really have a plan, and it probably looks a little like this.
Do you want to talk about some of those feelings?
I love you.
Obviously, you don't know me.
I love you so much.
Thank you, and I will take that as a feeling that you have of comfortability with me.
It's more than comfortability. Just thinking about our life together. I feel like I'm walking on a cloud. You're not feeling this?
In no way, shape, or form do I feel any feelings of intimacy towards you in any way whatsoever.
I love that. All right, let's take a look at a few reasons why dividends are hated. The first reason is that dividends are irrelevant when calculating total returns. Now, to be honest, this is true. Now, if we look at just the statement at face value, dividends are irrelevant when calculating total returns, this is true. It does, there's a few things that you have to consider. It's assuming that markets are always efficient and that the share price always represents the true intrinsic value of a business, which we all know is not the case. The markets are chaotic, they're volatile, they are not always efficient. So this argument of total returns and dividends being irrelevant, in its purest form, if assuming that the markets are always correct, which spoiler, they're not, this statement would absolutely be true. It would not make a difference if you invested into a company that paid a dividend or did not pay a dividend when it comes to total returns. The second reason why dividend investing is hated is that dividend companies are not innovating and not investing their free cash flow back into their business. So you look at a company like Coca-Cola, company that has, a dominant market share in their space. They're not really rolling out new products. They're not innovating. They're not really investing back into their business, and they're really just kind of plateauing, and they're pretty stagnant. They're not like, the Teslas of the world that are just exploding, and they're not, taking advantage of exponential growth. They're just kind of sitting there and, a steady growth of 3, 4, 5% year over year. And a lot of people, a lot of dividend haters are contributing that the fact that these companies are not using their cash flow to reinvest into research and development and rolling out of new products, increasing, efficiencies in their supply chain, etc. That's a reason why a lot of people do not like dividend investing. The third reason is that dividend paying companies don't appreciate as fast as non-paying or non-dividend paying companies. Now, this is absolutely true in most cases. This depends on the company, the industry, if we're talking about a utility or if we're talking about, like a company like Microsoft or an Apple, companies that do pay a dividend, but really a small percentage. This really comes down to the payout ratio. How much the business is paying out, relative to their net income. And so when you have a company like a Coca-Cola or a utility that's paying maybe 70 or even in some cases 80% of their net income, they're obviously not innovating as much. They're not putting it back into the business, and thereby they're going to grow much slower. Now, when you compare that to a company like PayPal or Square or Roku that's really in exponential growth mode, yeah, that statement makes complete sense. And a lot of younger investors are maybe a little bit less patient when it comes to the growth of their portfolio. They don't want a steady 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever percent return each year. They want to see that 20, 30, massive up and to the right. And that's another reason why people hate dividend investing, is it's too slow. The fourth reason why dividend investing is hated is that the dividends are not guaranteed. The company paying the dividend can cut its dividend at any time. And we saw that here in 2020, with certain areas of the market, in hospitality, leisure, restaurants. You look at hotels and restaurants in 2020, the majority of them, if not all of them almost, here cut or suspended their dividend in at least parts of 2020. And if you look back at 08 and 09 during the financial crisis, a lot of companies were also forced to cut their dividend as well. So the fact that, the dividend can be cut at any time, it really is a reason why people can hate dividend investing. The lack of control. Now, the fifth reason why dividend investing is hated is for tax reasons. When you're getting a dividend and it's in a taxable account, not a tax sheltered account, you are forced to pay taxes up front instead of when you sell the shares. So in some countries, this is a little bit different, but here in the United States, you pay taxes once you make the sale. Once you realize the gain or the loss, that's when it causes a taxable event. And with dividends, you are forced to pay taxes up front, typically 4 times a year. Once the dividend hits your account, that triggers a taxable event. So that's a reason why some people really don't like dividend investing, is because of the tax burden, especially if they're investing into real estate investment trusts, for example, where they're paying, ordinary income tax on those dividends. And I can definitely understand why people could hate this aspect of dividend investing. Now, I think the most common reason why I hear people say they hate dividend investing is really when it comes to the total return. That it really doesn't make a difference if you invest into a company that pays a dividend or does not pay a dividend, and you should not select a company just because it pays a dividend or doesn't pay a dividend when it compares and when it relates to the total return of the investment. And as I mentioned, really the kicker there, or the important thing to understand, is, are markets always efficient? On paper, in a perfect world, that makes entire sense, right? When you're calculating the total returns. But unfortunately, the markets are not efficient. They're not always reflecting the intrinsic value of a business. And so I think that's the important thing to note. If you're hating on dividend investing because of the total return, that's really something that you should ask yourself, well, am I going to be able to pick a time to sell when the true intrinsic value is represented in the share price? Because at the end of the day, if you're purchasing shares of a business that does not pay you as a shareholder a dividend, you are merely purchasing the right to sell that share of stock to somebody else. All this hate. All right, now let's talk about love and positivity, okay? So let's talk about why dividend investing is loved. So dividend investing creates passive income. It can replace your 9-to-5 job with dividend checks. Essentially what you're doing is you're investing into these businesses and you're putting your hard-earned money to work for you. Your money is working for you while you sleep. And in my opinion, it's one of the most truest forms of passive income. There's other types of passive income, like real estate, for example, that is passive, but it's not as passive as dividend investing. At least that's been the experience of mine while being a do-it-yourself real estate investor. Dividend investing creates passive income so that I can replace my 9-to-5 job with dividend checks. The second reason dividend investing is loved is because the markets are volatile, because they are inefficient. When you invest into a great business, a great company, you can purchase shares of a company at a discount and increase your yield on cost when the market is going down. So if you invest into individual companies or into dividend ETFs, when the market is going down, you can get into these great businesses and increase the yield on cost of your investments. The third reason why dividend investing is loved is you're passively increasing your income every single year. So if you're investing into a company, maybe a dividend aristocrat, a company that has grown and increased its dividend consecutively for the last 25 years, regardless of the share price, you're still getting that dividend per share price, but you're also getting a pay raise every single year. For example, some businesses that I own are increasing their dividend by 8, 9, 10, 12% year over year. And I think to myself, well, how many people do I know that get a pay increase of 12% every single year? And this is all passive. So your dividends are increasing year over year passively. The fourth reason why dividend investing is so loved is that dividend-paying companies are forced to be more intentional on how they spend their income, how they spend their cash flow, and thereby, by doing so, they're less volatile over time. So if you think about it, these big swings that you maybe see in the market with the NASDAQ, in these biotech companies or pure growth plays, like the swings in both direction are massive. They're up 10% one day, they're down 10% the next day. With these established blue chip dividend paying companies, you're going to see swings, but they're going to be much more marginal. They're going to be smaller than, your 10% on a daily basis. They may be a couple percentage points a day, but over time, they're slowly growing up and they're less volatile. You get less swings to the upside and to the downside with great dividend paying companies. The fifth reason why dividend investing is loved is dividend investing creates generational wealth. Because you're not liquidating the shares of your portfolio is not slowly going down, but it is actually slowly growing year over year. Because you're just living off of the dividend cash flow from the portfolio value will continue to grow. And as we all enter this cycle of life where we come into this world and we leave this world, it gives you the opportunity to leave something behind for those that you love. Dividend investing is not for everyone. I love dividend investing because it creates freedom in my life, and that's what it's all about. I invest for financial freedom. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.
You know what? I think we're gonna be friends. Can everyone say hi to my friend? That's crazy. I just wanted to say thanks. I'm glad you came along, partner.